Welcome to this episode of Trade Talks. I'm your host, Steven Lantigua, and I'm joined here by Philip, Justin, Richard, and Samori. All right, guys, so the NFL was just hit with some major trades, free agent signings. Philip, we're going to start with you. Which one of the new players are going to make the most impact on their new team?
Well, there's only one player I think that was in the best of his position that ended up getting moved, and that's Antonio Brown going to the Oakland Raiders. First off, Antonio Brown, like I said, I think is the best wide receiver in the league. And if you take a look at his stats, I think they more than prove that. I mean, in his 9 years as a pro, he's had 7 Pro Bowl appearances. That's just fantastic. 11,000 receiving yards, over 800 receptions. I can't think of another player that's going to make more of an impact on his team, especially considering how much Derek Carr could use a receiver like Antonio Brown. I mean, we've heard it in his press conference already. He's not even chasing Super Bowls at this point. He's chasing records. He's chasing Jerry Rice as the all-time record. So I don't want any more for my receiver than that.
Justin, who do you think?
For me, I'm going to stick with another wide receiver. I got to go with Odell Beckham Jr. He was just traded away from a local team, the New York Giants. Now, when he goes to the Browns, he's getting a legitimate quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who's finally young. If we take a look at his stats, last year he had as his career, he has right around 300 receptions, 44 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards, 2 Pro Bowl appearances. He's been in the pros for 5 years. Now, he's been productive as anything since coming into the league. He's been one of the quickest rising stars as well. So it's basically he's filling the hole LeBron left when he left Cleveland, really, because they have nothing as of right now. But he's getting an actual quarterback in Baker Mayfield who's mobile enough to fit his scheme. Not to mention, he's paired with his longtime friend, Jarvis Landry. Now, granted, it's only one football, so it's going to be interesting to see how they divvy that up. But this could be a high-powered offense now, especially.
Yeah, Richard, who do you got?
I'm going with good old St. Nick, the former Eagles quarterback, big signing in Jacksonville. I mean, if you take a look at his stats, I mean, over 11,000 career passing yards, 68 career touchdowns in only 44 games. And, of course, he brought the only Super Bowl to the city of brotherly love. He's a Super Bowl MVP. I think he's finally getting the money he deserves. I'm glad he's in Jacksonville. He's got a good defense behind him. Jalen Ramsey, the linebacking core is great there. And Fournette, I mean, it's going to take some pressure off him as well. He can hand it off. It's not as much pressure now on Fournette now that they got a guy who can throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield. So Jacksonville's looking good to me.
And Richard, I think that pick is actually very interesting too, just because unlike Odell and Antonio Brown, he's not really a top 3 in his position in the league, but yeah, it's a quarterback-driven league, so Jacksonville getting a Super Bowl MVP is a huge deal for them.
Richard, you also said he started 44 games in his career. He's been in the league for, what, 6 years at this point?
Yeah, and if you look at his playoff stats, which, I mean, he's got the highest completion percentage, and
Jacksonville is probably not going to make the playoffs, so...
Whoa.
It's
a lower division in the South.
Oh
They were in the AFC
goodness.
title game 2 years ago.
And you think the Raiders are making it to the playoffs? Unbelievable.
I think it's a realistic possibility.
All right, Samori, you heard these guys, who they picked. Who is your pick?
I'm going to go with Antonio Brown's former teammate, Le'Veon Bell. If we take a look at his career stats, he's had a terrific career. Even though he sat out last year, he's had over 5,000 rushing yards. He's had 35 touchdowns, 7,000 yards from scrimmage. So he's a dual threat, and he's the 3-time Pro Bowler. So, the Jets, they're going to get something special. I still don't think that they're not going to win their division because, there's somebody called Tom Brady. That's the Thanos of their division, so it's going to be hard for them to do anything with him there.
All right, guys, we're going to keep it with the NFL. So, you touched on it a little bit, Justin, with Odell Beckham getting traded to the Cleveland Browns, now filling that void of kind of LeBron taking over the city. They got back, the Giants got back Jabril Peppers, some draft picks, nothing too crazy. Do you guys think the Giants' season is done, or do you feel like there's still some type of hope,
Throw it
Samori?
in the trash right now.
In the trash?
Throw it in the trash.
Okay.
Eli Manning is their quarterback, and they're going to depend on him, and they're not going to draft anybody to take his spot. Eli Manning, they're clinging on to those 2 titles that he won, and one of them was a decade ago. So you could throw the season in the trash and throw some fire on top of it, too.
All right, Richard, who do you got?
I mean, I think the Browns obviously won this trade. I mean, they got Odell Beckham as they touched on before. Jarvis Landry's his good old pal. He's got a quarterback that can throw the ball deep. That's all he wanted in New York. Running back position for the Browns is good. They have a good young team, but don't count the Giants out yet. I think the Eli situation will pan out. I mean, they do have some draft picks. Bro, it'll pan out. Let him get one good year in, maybe like a 9-7 season. Let him ride off on the high road.
Manning.
They have Barkley. You saw what Barkley
They're
did
gonna run him
last
to the
year,
ground.
bro. Yeah, it's okay. Just they're gonna
it
be
won't
all
be okay
right.
for him.
It's gonna be all right. The Giants will be all right. I mean, I'm a Birds fan, but they'll be all right.
Justin?
By the time Saquon is, relevant. The Giants are relevant. Saquon's career is going to be downhill at that point. Running backs have 5 to 6 good years left in them. This rebuild is going to take 3 years, 4 at max. It's the Giants. They're not going to move on from Eli. They're not even interested in Dwayne Haskins at this point. If they don't do anything with these 2 draft picks at this point, it's a blown trade. You gave Odell away for basically Jabril Peppers, who's a glorified kick returner.
All right, Philip.
I think it could be a blessing in disguise for the Giants. I mean, I'm not going to say they won the trade because I'm still on Cleveland's side for that. But I don't like the idea that Odell was kind of a distraction in New York. I think getting him out of the limelight and focusing more on Saquon Barkley for that and building around Saquon Barkley is kind of a bigger deal. But I still think they need a definite upgrade at the quarterback position before that.
No, yeah, I definitely think, the Giants, they got to be a little bit optimistic. Yeah, they let, a really star receiver go, but we got to see how it pans out. So don't go anywhere, guys. After the break, we're going to be talking about the MLB and the brand new signings that they got. Stay with us. Welcome back to Trade Talks. I'm your host, Steven Lantigua. All right, guys. So, the MLB had some crazy free agent signings. You had 2 major Keystone guys signing over $300 million contracts in Manny Machado, Bryce Harper. Philip, who do you think is going to make the bigger impact for their team?
Well, Bryce Harper immediately, just because Philly's now in a win-now mode. So getting one of the better players in the league, and Bryce Harper, for I think a little longer than they expected. But you can't really debate with the diva. But aside from that, getting one of the better hitters in the league for a team that's in a win-now position is a huge move for the Phillies.
I got to go with Manny Machado. Now, even though it won't be an immediate impact, down the line it will be. Even though his contract has a few opt-outs at the same time, he's the veteran they'll need for the young prospects when they bring him up.
Richard?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bryce Harper. I mean, he's in a hitter's ballpark. I think he's going to hit over maybe 50, 45 home runs in Philly. I mean, it's a short right field fence. The guy's a great slugger. I mean, if you take a look at his numbers, he's got above a 280 batting average, over 5,000 hits. So, I mean, I think he'll be perfect in Philly.
And some more?
I'm going to go with Bryce Harper. Although I think Machado is the better player because he's better on defense and on offense. He's a better hitter. Bryce Harper's going to make the immediate impact because I believe the Phillies have a better team than the Padres. You have Aaron Nola, who's a definite star, who can probably go out there and get you a Cy Young. And Bryce Harper, like Richard said, it's a hitter's ballpark, so I think that'll be the advantage for him.
I'm a little upset. The New York Yankees didn't sign either of these guys, and they were
we don't
rumored
need-
to sign them for years.
The Yankees don't need him.
But it's okay. Still World Series favorites, I would say. So let's take it back to the NFL for a little bit. So it's a little bit too early. It's March. It's not, June or August or even September. Who are you guys' Super Bowl predictions if you had to pick right now based on the offseason? Philip, we'll start with you.
Mine's not really based off the offseason as like the free agency as much as it was last year's playoffs with the Kansas City Chiefs is my pick, just because they came so close. They went into overtime against the Super Bowl champions, the Patriots. And I don't know, the team's still good all around. The offense is obviously fantastic, one of the better ones in the league. The defense is still solid, so Kansas City's my pick this year. I think they're going to get it done.
Justin, who do you
Well,
think?
I got to go with Cleveland, and that's because they have Odell. We talked about it before.
It's a little early.
Okay,
I
look,
get
this
the hype.
this offense has the capability to be the best team, offensive-wise, better than the greatest show on turf. You're telling Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry are better than Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Nick Chubb, they'll eventually get Kareem Hunt back. He's dealing with the suspension. As I mentioned, they also have David Njoku, who's an absolute beast in the red zone. Defense, it's still there. Offensive line got a little bit weaker, but I think Cleveland can actually get through for one time at this point.
Listen, we don't have cups up here, but I'm going to sip my tea on that one.
Yeah, as well.
Richard, who are you gonna pick?
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, how could you not? They have a healthy Carson Wentz coming back. They beefed up their defensive line, which got them to the Super Bowl that year with Malik Jackson signing. I think players like Sidney Jones, their secondary could use a little work in this upcoming draft. And I think if they look for a running back, that'll help them out as well.
I'm glad you mentioned before, too, that you're a Birds fan, because that makes a little bit more sense.
All right, Samori, who's your pick?
That's a
Let me
honest
know.
pick.
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to go with the Patriots.
Patriots?
You can't pick against them. I'm going to pick them every year until Tom Brady retires.
I think I'm gonna have to roll with Justin on this one. They got
You too?
top
Are you kidding
five,
me?
They already had a top 5 defense.
They
They're
beat
gonna go
one
with the top
team over
5
500
offense.
last year.
I don't know.
What?
I personally
What?
feel like the Browns got this one.
Are they
but,
going to beat Tom Brady?
I think they could.
What?
But that's enough time for us on Trade Talks. Join us next week. We'll break down some trades in the NBA and some trades in the NHL. Good night, everyone. See you next time.